Hello, my name is John Rosebush. I decided to create this next video based on the potential energy sources that we have today and finally the benefits of my new energy invention. Today I'd like to concentrate on the inertial confinement fusion projects going on around the world. There's many of them. One of them is in Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, another one's in France, and many of the countries are collaborating on this. This is what our world has at least the leaders of the major countries have thought, well, this is a way to solve our energy solution in the future, because they realize how grave it is. And we're going to run out of carbon fuel, so we have to do something. So let's talk about the ICF fusion projects. One of them is mechanical, and we know that mechanical, it doesn't create that much power. So, they're talking about 4 gigawatts of power out of one installation. To me, that's kind of, is it worth it or not? But there's also other types of ICF fusion projects going on, and some of them have great potential. But as of today, none of them have had any real successes. They have been able to generate a huge amount of heat, but even as a novice like me, I can understand the issues that they're having. The first thing is they need to fire the lasers off repeatedly, many times, every few seconds or so, in order to keep the energy going. And the problem is they're not able to do that. Matter of fact, right now, some of the lasers can only be fired once a day almost. So that's a major issue. Another major issue is it creates an unstable environment. That much heat, it's kind of like a nuclear bomb going off. It's a lot of heat. And the problem is the environment is not stable then. And finally, even after they are able to do all that, they need to be able to harness that electricity and commercialize it and send it out to people. At present, they're all experimental. The problem is they've convinced our world leaders that this is the way to go because they understand the energy shortages. And so we're counting on these experiments. And they're experiments for a reason, because they are experiments. And right now, they've overpromised and underdelivered. Now, our world is counting on this because we know, and the leaders know, and the scientists know, and they're kind of working on it, secretly, and there's a lot of money involved. So, the laboratories want to protect everything, so they're kind of overpromising. And it's very dangerous for our world to count on this. Now, I do believe there will be a time in the future where these experiments and these things work. And, even if they don't work now and they work in 100 years, and we research for 100 years, it's a potential because we can miniaturize it and we can use it for space travel. So there is purposes. And also, my new energy invention may not work forever, and you'll understand why after I bring it to the world. But right now, it is the only source of energy we can use to power our planet. I can create 1 terawatt of power in one site. And I know I can create between 500 and 1,000 terawatts of power around the world. It is still the only option that I've seen, even with the ICF, and I believe we should continue funding it. I'm not against it. Matter of fact, I'm totally for it. And if it does work, well then good, and it's a silver bullet to our energy needs. The problem is, right now it don't. And so, we've even heard the president talk about, we can create energy with the heat of the sun and everything. Maybe we can, but we're a long way from bringing that to reality. And the problem is we're running out of carbon resources. 40 years, and 70 years possibly. And I'm not trying to compete or anything or the other. What I'm trying to tell you is that my energy invention will work now. And we could install that, and if one of these silver bullets work with all these fusion projects, then great, we can replace it. We will have time, and we'll save our carbon resources for products like asphalt, like shingles, like plastics, and we can still continue to save our carbon resources. And we surely don't want to count on one thing anyway. So even if the fusion projects work, doesn't mean that should be the only energy source. So because I can create a huge amount of energy also, it'd be nice to complement one another. And on top of it, even if we get all this to work, the fuel is very difficult to come by. I know they're trying different types of of ways, but at the present time, the fuel is even very expensive for this. So I'm not against it, and this video is not meant to be against it. What I'm trying to do is have you use common sense, and also realize that novice people do understand a lot more than what you think, and especially someone like me that has studied energy hugely. Now, what I'd like to talk about next is, first, I want to read something to you. And it's a couple sentences, and I just kind of want to read it to you so you understand where I'm coming from. Before we can take advantage of cheap energy, we must, as a world society, realize the main reason for the creation of money was to prioritize what mankind works on. The other reason is to try to keep track of who's done what. But that is essentially what money was used for, and for trade, Instead, because of the corruption, greed, self-interest, etc., money has become a restraint instead of a priority vehicle. If we're going to advance the world forward, we must take off the shackles of monetary restrictions we have self-imposed on ourselves and the societies of the world to pursue the advancement for the benefit of mankind. Now, my new energy invention is ready to prototype almost immediately. And within 5 years, I believe engineers and scientists around the world could refine it to where it would make sense to deploy it around the world. And once after 5 years, and they've refined it completely, we can start generating power, 50 gigawatts in one site, up to a terawatt of power in sites. Now, we don't want to generate just 20 sites with 1 terawatt of power to power the world, because then if one went out, we'd have huge problems. But there's thousands, there's actually 50,000 places around the world, and that's a pretty educated guess, where this thing makes sense to deploy. And we don't need to deploy that many, but where it makes sense to deploy because of science. So that's where I'm trying to let people know where I'm at and where the energy for the world needs to be addressed. And we got to quit counting on something that might happen in the future. We've heard this about cold fusion for, 40, 50 years. And I still think cold fusion is a very good possibility because we don't have the heat issues. And those are the major issues that have complicated this ICF fusions all around the world. Now, the benefits of cheap energy, and I've talked about it in the past in our videos, but I kind of want to just repeat what they are. I believe we could have transportation costs of 40 to 50 cents equivalent of a gallon of gasoline. It solves the water issues from building desalination plants. Better irrigation for farming. Cheaper cost of energy for manufacturing. Extending the life of oil to build products instead of wasting it on transportation, mowing, etc. Mowing the yard, why? Why are we using oil to do that? Extends the life of airlines, large marine ships, etc. to take the time to convert to alternative energy. It's going to take time to convert those. Reduces growing food for biofuels. We don't need biofuels anymore. If the first step to it is creating the energy. But the second step is to replace the transportation fuels, which is going to take the cooperation of the world to do. We're going to have to put in service stations that service hydrogen and compressed air, and we're going to have to put electric charging stations in for our automobiles. This is essential. All the electric generation in the world, if we don't change our transportation, we still end up using oil. And like I say, oil is used for products, and that's what it should be saved for. I mean, we need plastics. We need these products in this modern society. With 8 billion people by the time this actually can take place, maybe 9 billion people, we need to save our oil for products. All right, so I've discussed about everything I want to discuss except for one thing. This energy invention and the implementation of it needs to be a worldwide project. Every country in the world needs to participate. And we need to get off the shackles of monetary policy. We're not going to be able to leave a third of the world behind, or a quarter of the world, or even any of the world. You know, they're going to be without energy, and everybody else can have energy. You know, we need participation from every country. And that's part of the reason why I've approached this the way I have, instead of just showing the world what I've got. There needs to be responsibility. If I just put this out there, and I've had trouble figuring out what country I'm going to put it out there with. You know, United States try to exploit it through the capital markets. China just grab it and say, gosh, I have no responsibility. I just took this and I got it, and now I'm going to continue doing what they're doing, which is trying to take manufacturing from everybody in the planet, the race to the top. You know, just whatever they can take, steal, whatever. And China's not like that. China's a great country, but they've embraced capitalism with these Bain Capital people that have went over to China, and it needs to stop. They need to look after their own people and help even other countries look after their people. So who do I go to? Or do I go to a poor country? And what type, how are they going to treat this? You know, I could go to Pakistan. I can create 3 or 4 terawatts of power in Pakistan. So what is Pakistan going to use it for what? You know, are they going to look after their people like they should be? These are the concerns that I have. And so it's almost like I can't even figure out what country would be best suited to bring this to the world. So I'm pleading for all the countries to come together. This invention works. I've got nothing whatsoever that I'm trying to gain from this, except for I feel like I should make some money on it, but on my minute amount. I'm trying to deliver it for the world, for the betterment of mankind, and especially for our kids, and for the future of this world. I still believe there's goodness in people all around the world. I believe our future could be space travel, could be so many things, so many possibilities, and the goodness in people, I still believe there is. I just think our world is consumed by greed right now in a race to the top. And I'm hoping that I get through to people. That's why I keep making these videos. This is going to be the end of this video, and the next one will be about the effects of the financial markets around the world with my new invention.